It was supposed to be a peaceful visit to my grandmother's village in the heart of the Philippine countryside. The quiet nights, the rustling trees, and the distant hum of cicadas were comforting at first, but that night will haunt me forever. I was staying in a small nipa hut near the edge of the forest. It belonged to my grandmother, who insisted that the countryside air would do me good. She told me to rest early because the nights here hold things you don't want to meet. I thought she was just being superstitious. Around midnight, I woke up to a sound. A strange clicking noise, like wood creaking or an insect chirping. At first, I thought it was just the wind, but then I realized it was getting louder and softer, as if something was moving closer and farther, circling the hut. I froze, listening. My grandmother's words came rushing back. If you ever hear the sound of tick-tick, stay inside and pray. Don't look out. I tried to brush it off as my imagination, but curiosity got the better of me. I crept toward the window, my heart pounding like a drum. The moonlight filtered through the bamboo slats, casting eerie shadows across the room. And then I saw her. At first, she looked like a beautiful woman standing at the edge of the clearing, her long black hair glinting in the moonlight. Her eyes seemed to shimmer, and her smile. Something about that smile froze me in place. She tilted her head as if she knew I was watching. Then, right before my eyes, her body began to change. Her torso twisted unnaturally, her skin tearing apart as leathery wings burst from her back. A sickening crack filled the air as her upper body separated from her lower half. Her intestines dangled grotesquely from where her waist had been, glistening under the pale light. I stumbled back, my breath caught in my piercing through the roof, a long, spindly tongue slithering down like a snake, searching. I backed into a corner, clutching a knife I had grabbed from the kitchen. My grandmother had told me stories about the Manananggal, how they preyed on pregnant women, sucking the life from their unborn children. I wasn't pregnant, but that didn't mean I was safe. The tongue lashed through the air, brushing against the floorboards, searching for flesh. I could feel the bile rising in my throat, my mind screaming at me to do something, anything. Then I remembered. Garlic, salt, ash. I stumbled to the table where my grandmother kept a jar of garlic cloves and a small container of salt. My hands trembled as I scattered them around the room, creating a crude barrier. The Manananggal let out a shriek. A guttural, ear-piercing sound that made my blood run cold. The tongue withdrew, and I heard her wings flap violently as she took off. But I knew she wasn't gone, not yet. The sound of her wings faded, and the night grew eerily quiet. I didn't dare move, my eyes fixed on the window. Hours seemed to pass before the first light of dawn broke through the trees. Only then did I gather the courage to peek outside. Her lower half was still there, standing in the clearing like a grotesque statue. I grabbed a handful of salt and ran toward it, my fear overridden by sheer desperation. I poured the salt over the exposed flesh, chanting a prayer my grandmother had taught me. The first rays of sunlight touched the earth, and I watched as the lower half began to wither and crumble into ash. A distant wail echoed through the sky, and I knew she was gone, for now. When my grandmother returned, she looked at me with a mix of fear and relief. "You survived," she whispered, gripping my hand tightly. But remember, child, the Manananggal is never truly gone. She will always return, looking for her next victim.